So what happened with you and LeBron?
Is that where we're going, Dan? That's what you want. Listen, I want everyone to know too. Me and Dan have not talked today. So this is Dan really asking me something that he wants to know about.
The basketball world was shaken after LeBron James dropped a major announcement. Karl-Anthony Towns is officially on his way to the Mavericks. Fans are buzzing, speculation is running wild, and questions are piling up. So what's the real story behind this shocking trade? We've got all the details you need. Let's break it down. Towns fit with Dallas. Karl-Anthony Towns' potential fit with the Dallas Mavericks is one of the most discussed angles in ongoing trade speculation. From a basketball standpoint, Dallas needs a third star who can complement Luka Doncic's ball dominance and Kyrie Irving's shot creation. Towns offers a rare skill set for a big man: elite shooting, solid passing instincts, and the ability to create his own shot in certain matchups. These qualities make him attractive to a team that prioritizes spacing and fluid half-court offense.
Career game number 590 for Karl-Anthony Towns in New York after 9 years with Minnesota. Turned 29 years old 12 days ago, and he's flirting with a career-high scoring average this year at 26.3.
With Towns stretching the floor as a high-level perimeter shooter, Dallas could gain an offensive dimension they currently lack: a big who forces defenses to guard 25 feet from the basket. This opens driving lanes for Doncic and Irving, something the team routinely tries to manufacture with smaller stretch forwards. Towns' presence would make this spacing more consistent and harder to counter. However, integrating his offensive strengths without disrupting Dallas's rhythm is only one part of the equation. Towns has historically been placed in roles where he must carry heavy scoring and creation loads. In Dallas, he wouldn't be asked to be the primary option, and some analysts believe that lighter responsibilities could bring out his best version: more efficient, more focused, and less burdened. Defensively, the fit is more complicated. Dallas has worked hard to build a more disciplined defense, and Towns has never been known as a strong rim protector or defensive anchor. The Mavericks would likely need a defensive partner beside him, possibly someone like Derek Lively too, taking on the hardest assignments. In that sense, Towns' fit is partly dependent on how Dallas structures the front court rotation. Overall, Towns offers the Mavericks a potential boost in offensive versatility. The question is whether the benefits justify the defensive and structural adjustments needed to make the lineup function at a playoff level. Financial hurdles for a trade. Any discussion of a Karl-Anthony Towns trade must account for the financial complexities involved. His contract is one of the largest in the league, tied to a supermax extension that places a substantial cap hit on the Minnesota Timberwolves. This alone makes the trade landscape restrictive. Few teams have the salary flexibility to absorb his deal without significant roster reshuffling.
New York Knicks haven't drafted a superstar since Patrick Ewing in 1985. And I look at trade scenarios because let me tell you something right now. The Minnesota Timberwolves, you can't keep Anthony Edwards, Karl-Anthony Towns, and Rudy Gobert. I think you have to let go of Karl-Anthony Towns. I'd love Karl-Anthony Towns in New York.
For Minnesota, the challenge is twofold. First, they already committed major money to Rudy Gobert and other key rotation players, putting them deep into the luxury tax. Moving Towns would not simply be a talent decision. It would be a financial strategy to reshape their long-term cap structure. Second, because of the size of Towns' contract, the Wolves cannot easily match salaries in smaller pieces. Any trade requires similarly large contracts or a combination of young players and expiring deals from the receiving team. For Dallas, acquiring Towns would mean parting with valuable assets. Matching his salary likely requires moving multiple rotational players or involving a third team. Additionally, Dallas must weigh whether investing this much of their cap space into a third star is the best long-term path, especially given other needs such as defensive depth and future draft flexibility. The financial layer also extends beyond immediate cap implications. Teams must think about future years, escalating salaries, and tax penalties. For clubs already operating near the second apron, like Dallas could be, adding another supermax player could severely restrict roster-building options. Because of these issues, trade conversations surrounding Towns continue to generate interest but rarely escalate into concrete action. The financial structure is simply difficult for many teams to navigate without sacrificing significant assets. Irving's public support for Towns' Kyrie. Irving's public defense of Karl-Anthony Towns adds a noteworthy interpersonal angle to the trade discussion. During a live stream, Irving spoke out against online criticism directed at Towns, emphasizing their shared personal connection and his desire to defend him against unfair narratives. In today's NBA ecosystem, where player relationships increasingly influence team decisions and trade possibilities, this kind of public support matters.
Before I forget, y'all gotta stop making fun of my brother Cat. I'm done with y'all. Stop making fun of my brother Cat. It's over for that. It's a wrap. I'm letting y'all know, if you repost that shit again or you meme him up, I'm attacking you.
Irving highlighted how public perception often misinterprets Towns' background, personality, and cultural influences. Rather than commenting strictly on basketball, Irving addressed the human side, the misunderstandings and stereotypes players often face. His comments resonated with many fans and brought renewed attention to the idea that Towns is more than just a statistical profile. From a Mavericks perspective, Irving's endorsement could be meaningful. Teams often consider chemistry and interpersonal alignment when adding high-level talent. If a respected veteran and team leader publicly vouches for a potential acquisition, it signals that the locker room may be more receptive to the player. It could also ease the transition for Towns, who has dealt with heavy public scrutiny in previous seasons. Additionally, Irving's comments reflect a broader NBA trend: players advocating for each other in public spaces like streams, podcasts, and interviews. These interactions sometimes contribute to trade momentum by normalizing the idea of new partnerships. While Irving's support does not guarantee anything, it adds contextual weight to the conversation. It humanizes the trade speculation and reinforces that decisions are not made solely on contracts and analytics. Relationships matter. Durability and injury risks. Towns' injury history remains one of the key factors complicating any potential trade. Over the past several seasons, he has missed significant time due to knee issues, calf strains, and other physical setbacks. Most recently, reports indicated that he played through knee swelling and finger ligament damage during the playoffs before undergoing postseason treatment. While he recovered enough to return the following year, his durability continues to raise concerns.
I'm probably the biggest name superstar that's been swept 5 times. The fact that he's not upset that he played terrible shows me he's not ready yet.
NBA teams are increasingly cautious about players with recurring lower body injuries, especially larger athletes who rely on mobility. Knee swelling in particular can require long-term maintenance rather than one-time recovery. Towns himself has mentioned that swelling episodes affected his ability to move and that playing through pain was becoming a recurring challenge. Despite these concerns, Towns has also demonstrated resilience. He has returned from injuries in good condition and continued to produce strong offensive numbers. But durability is not simply about availability. It affects long-term roster planning, load management strategies, practice schedules, and playoff reliability. For a team acquiring Towns, especially one giving up major assets, the question becomes, can he maintain near full availability over the next several seasons? And if not, can the roster absorb the impact of his missed time? His injury history does not eliminate his value, but it does add an important layer to any trade assessment. Teams must consider not only how he contributes when healthy, but how often and for how long he can stay on the court at the level they need. Defensive liability concerns. Karl-Anthony Towns' defense remains one of the most consistently scrutinized aspects of his game, and it plays a meaningful role in any discussion about his trade value. Despite his offensive strengths, many teams question whether he can hold up defensively at a championship level. His rim protection metrics have historically been below those of elite big men, and he has struggled with consistency when defending in space or reacting to complex offensive sets.
Either one of you guys, but then this might be the 3rd or 4th time where you guys have seen a 20-point deficit and then just erased it.
We're not proud of that.
Part of the issue is stylistic. Towns is a naturally offensive-minded player who excels when he can operate freely, stretch the floor, and initiate from the perimeter. Defensively, he has shown improvement at times, but he has not developed into the kind of anchor who can erase mistakes or dictate opponents' shot selection. In playoff settings, where defensive breakdowns become magnified, this becomes a key concern. For teams like Dallas, which has made recent strides toward becoming a more disciplined defensive unit, adding a player who needs cover on that end presents challenges. The Mavericks would likely need to pair Towns with a strong defensive center or forward, such as Derek Lively II, to compensate for his weaknesses near the basket. Even then, certain matchups would require strategic adjustments, switching fewer screens, shading help toward Towns' side, or relying more heavily on perimeter defenders to prevent pressure on the interior. There is also the question of defensive identity. Contending teams often build cohesion on that end, and integrating a player who requires specific schemes or additional protection can shift responsibilities across the roster. Coaches must determine whether the offensive upside is significant enough to restructure their defensive approach around a single player. Still, it's not as simple as labeling Towns a liability. He has improved his footwork, can survive in certain drop coverages, and has shown flashes of better rotations. The question is not whether he is capable, but whether he fits the defensive standards required for deep playoff runs. Teams must weigh his offensive impact against the additional work needed to support him on the other end. Contract implications and long-term value. Karl-Anthony Towns' contract situation is one of the most consequential factors in trade discussions. He is currently playing on a supermax extension, one of the largest annual salaries in the league. This financial commitment brings both advantages and risks. On one hand, supermax players are typically cornerstone pieces, individuals you build a franchise around. On the other hand, if a player faces injury concerns or questions about long-term fit, such a large contract becomes harder to justify.
I gotta laugh. I'm putting up to 1,500 shots a day, and shot so well all playoffs. Confidence extremely high, and to be having these unfortunate bounces and these looks that are just not going in, it's tough. It's tough for sure.
Any team considering a trade must look not only at the present, but at several years into the future. The escalating nature of his salary means the financial burden grows with time, potentially limiting roster flexibility. Teams near the first or second apron of the NBA's new CBA face additional restrictions, including limitations on sign and trades, mid-level exceptions, and aggregate salary movement. Acquiring Towns could place a team directly into those constraints. Beyond cap positioning, there's the expected value calculation. Towns is a highly productive offensive player, but teams must project how his skills will age, especially given the size and physical toll that affect big men over time. If his injuries become more frequent or if his mobility declines, the cost may outweigh the benefits. There is also the possibility of future extensions. Even though Towns is already on a long-term contract, teams must consider how interested they would be in continuing that relationship once the current deal reaches its later years. If performance declines or durability issues persist, the long-term financial outlook becomes even more challenging. In summary, any team trading for Towns must be confident that his current and future performance aligns with the significant investment required. It's a long-term financial and basketball equation that must be balanced carefully. Minnesota's organizational direction. Another key layer to the trade discussion involves the Minnesota Timberwolves' long-term direction. With major contracts tied to Rudy Gobert, Anthony Edwards, and Jaden McDaniels, the organization is entering a period where roster decisions must be strategic and financially sustainable. Towns represents both a major asset and a major cost, making him the center of conversations about the team's future identity.
Timberwolves fans are still in shock tonight. Star player Karl-Anthony Towns has been traded to the New York Knicks. In exchange, the Wolves are picking up 2 players from New York and a first-round draft pick.
The Timberwolves face choices about how they want to construct their lineup around Edwards, who is clearly emerging as the franchise's centerpiece. Some analysts believe that Minnesota may eventually choose a more defensive-oriented frontcourt or pursue a roster structure that allows Edwards more offensive space. Others argue that Towns' unique offensive ability still fits well alongside their young star. The franchise is also navigating the new NBA financial environment, where teams deep into the luxury tax face increasingly severe penalties. Keeping both Gobert and Towns long-term may be difficult under this system, especially with other players requiring extensions. From a competitive standpoint, the Wolves have seen success with their current core, but the question is how sustainable that success is. Playoff matchups often expose roster flaws, and front offices must determine whether changes are necessary to remain competitive in the long run. Towns' value on the trade market gives Minnesota flexibility, the ability to acquire picks, depth, or players who better fit their evolving direction. In short, Minnesota's organizational priorities and long-term structure are central to any decision involving Towns. The move would not be made out of desperation, but out of strategic planning. Brand impact and global reach. A trade involving Karl-Anthony Towns carries implications not only for basketball, but also for branding and global outreach. Towns has a significant presence both in the United States and internationally, particularly due to his Dominican heritage, which connects him to a broad fan base in Latin America and the Caribbean. His off-court persona, charitable initiatives, and public visibility make him a valuable figure for teams looking to expand their market reach.
I can't believe this is my life. I've never felt this feeling before. I have never, ever had a player that I have, I guess, hated on so frequently and so fervently in my soul to now be the source of my happiness for the next 8 months. Like my happiness.
The NBA itself has prioritized global growth, and players with multicultural appeal play an important role in this strategy. Towns' participation in digital media, brand partnerships, and international events contributes to his broader marketability. For example, serving as the face of gaming partnerships or appearing in global promotional campaigns enhances his commercial profile and increases his value beyond the court. For any franchise acquiring him, there are direct marketing benefits, expanded merchandise opportunities, increased international fan engagement, and potential partnerships with brands targeting multicultural audiences. Teams with a strong global strategy, such as the Mavericks, could leverage his presence in ways that extend beyond traditional basketball promotions. However, a trade also presents branding challenges. Teams must balance commercial interest with managing narrative expectations. Fans often react strongly to star player movement, and public sentiment can shift depending on how the trade is presented. Maintaining authenticity and communicating Towns' value, both as an athlete and cultural figure, becomes important in avoiding backlash. Overall, Towns offers more than production. He represents a global brand with reach, identity, and commercial influence. Any team pursuing him will consider both the on-court fit and the broader market implications. Before you go, remember, the story behind Karl-Anthony Towns' blockbuster trade is far from fully revealed. The strategy, the locker room dynamics, and the behind-the-scenes negotiations, it's all part of a puzzle fans haven't seen in full. If you want to know what happens next, the team chemistry, the Mavericks championship push, and the ripple effects across the league, hit subscribe and turn on notifications. The next revelation could change the entire NBA landscape.